Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. We've got something different for you here today. We have some old school Magic the Gathering, 93-94 Atlantic rules to be exact, and that means we're going to see some of the most powerful cards ever played in a fairly limited card pool. So this is going to be some really interesting choices. This format doesn't really resemble Vintage at all. Of course, it does have some of the key cards, the Moxes from Unlimited, the Alpha Moxes, along with Black Lotus, Soul Ring, so many powerful effects, but the things that you do with them are not nearly as ridiculous as we see in Vintage today. We're going to see a lot more creature combat. We're going to see really complicated, convoluted combos. And here we go, a turn 1 Black Lotus into a Serra Angel. That is a very good start here. And Mark now with a Black Vice, which normally would be great versus James's American Skies deck here. It's a red, white, and blue control deck using Serra Angel, Serendib, and more to kind of dominate the skies and have a good board position, hopefully backed up with some counter spells, most likely Burn as well. Lightning Bolt, one of the best cards in the format. And another Black Vice and a Goblin King here for Mark. Those Black Vices not likely gonna do any damage unless something changes here. James has an incredible mana base, so he'll just be able to continue to play things out. Goblin King turns sideways and then is sacrificed a grenade, and this Serra Angel's gone with Mark with 8 life left. So, oh, and that's what I'm talking about. Ankh of Mishra. Now James has some decisions to make when it comes to his cards. Does he play the lands and take 2 damage? Or does he keep them in hand and potentially take some damage off of these Black Vices? A Chain Lightning, and now a second Chain Lightning. Oh, and a little premature there. Mark might have been able to get away with a single Chain Lightning there. Very interesting. The first one definitely resolves. The second one, James can feel free to bounce back. And now another Serendib. You'll notice that looks different than the previous one. The other one was from Revised. It actually has a green border and has the art from If Biff Ifrit. So that was a print run wide error. And you see a lot of those at old school events because the Serendibs from Arabian Nights are outrageously expensive now, largely because of old school. It's an incredibly casual format, but the people who play it are very passionate about it. And it is a ton of fun. And a lot of the cards really do well as collectibles. So we've got Goblin Balloon Brigade going to the skies, blocking this Serendib, trying to keep Mark outside of bolt range. Kugelblitz, that is a Ball Lightning German FBB, and that's going to push James down to 5. So we have a tie game now. 1 more point from this Serendib. Can James finish it out with some burn? No. So Mark's stuck at 2 here. Can't play a land thanks to his own Ankh of Mishra. James with 3 cards in hand. Now going to 3. Now Bolt will be lethal from Mark if he draws it. And he's got 2 cards in hand. Oh, and he's got the Bolt. So there we go. 2 cards in hand. I think, was he dead without the Bolt? If he could survive 1 more turn, there'd be Serendib doing 2 damage to him, and then the damage during his upkeep from those Black Vices. So that was the noose tightening from every angle there for James. Mark just hanging on. And has the burn to finish it out. Super close game there. Chain Lightning being deflected back, a thing you don't often see. But there we go. Going to game 2 here. Mark has some sideboard options. Blood Moon could be good, though I don't know that we actually came up with those. Mark actually borrowing this deck. I don't know that we actually had Blood Moons for it. I feel like we didn't. I think we just had reprinted versions, which of course have the different card frame Probably should have checked for Chronicles ones. But I was thinking just the dark. But yeah, there is the Chronicles white bordered versions. But we have Mana Barbs and some spicy sideboard cards here. So we'll see what Mark does. Ball Lightning. A very fun printing of it. The German version called Kugelblitz. Got to hear Mark call him that out whenever you get in the red zone with the 6-1. And of course, Bloodlust, very good with Ball Lightning. If you do find yourself with the mana, which can happen very easily when you're playing Black Lotus, and you do happen to have that mana, does that increase your explosiveness like no other card ever printed? James, on the other hand here, looking to just have higher power level per card. He's playing 3/4s, where Mark is playing 1/1s. So if James can leverage, especially the Moxes, to accelerate his mana base, when you can be casting on curve your 3/4s against your opponent's 1/1s, that is going to be tough for them to contend with. So James going to be very happy to have some fast mana. Also gets cards out of his hands to deal with the kind of format pervasive Black Vice. A lot of decks play it. Black Vice really good in this format. Really punishes control decks and is brutal with Hurkyl's Recall as well. Like there's some blue decks that play Black Vice, and you can Hurkyl's Recall to bounce all of their artifacts back to their hand during the upkeep, just to do massive damage to them. Here we go, Serendib on turn 2. That gets Red Elemental blasted. And a Strip Mine taking out Volcanic Island. We'll see if that ends up working out, or if that Strip Mine would have been better saved perhaps for a Factory or a Library of Alexandria. Both of those cards can be very difficult to deal with. And now Time Walk here for James. Drawing a card. Black Lotus. Sacrificing into a Serra Angel. So that Time Walk, not actually very good. Essentially just a cantrip. You know, a free cantrip is fine, don't get me wrong. I mean, it'd be played in every format ever printed. That said, it can be so much more. For example, when you have a Serra Angel out, now you're getting an extra 4 damage out of it. And now Goblin King, was that post-combat? Because these guys actually do pump each other. Goblin Grenade, and that gets mana drained. So we've had a little bit of fireworks back and forth here. Both Goblin Kings are now dead. One from James, one from Mark, sacrificing to Goblin Grenade. And this Serra Angel showing why it may be the best creature in the format. Vigilance, a big old butt. And James not taking the bait, not blocking. Suspecting that Bloodlust is in his hand. Another Serra Angel, this time off of Soul Ring. And this is looking very grim here for Mark. Earthquake not going to touch these guys. Wheel of Fortune. And that 3 mana investment. A little bit of a problem. Tough to cast Wheel and have a really good turn after the Wheel in this type of deck. These Factories also requiring mana. I think Mark's just going to find himself perhaps with the cards necessary to win this game. And instead, we may see things moving on to the next game. Just 2 damage coming in. Goblins of the Flarg. And now looks like we're going to have Serra Angels teaming up to take down game number 2. Game 3 here for Mark. And he's going to have to figure out exactly what to do about these Serra Angels. 4 toughness, along with the Serendibs. Both of those outside of range of Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning. His most likely removal spells. When it comes to opposing creatures, neither of them going to work. That is a common theme in old school. It's like Lightning Bolt, easily identifiable as one of the best cards. And then from there, well, if Lightning Bolt's everywhere, what creatures do you want to play? A lot of the time, you're just going to want to play things that can't die to a single bolt. So a real premium there. Sedge Troll, another card that you see a lot in old school. Now, while that does typically have 3 toughness, you can just pay a black to regenerate more often than not. It's a big part of the reason why you don't really see as much Juggernaut as you might expect in this format. Seems on paper like an absolutely tremendous card, but I think in practice people find it just gets bolted or Chain Lightning just far too often to make it worth the 4 mana investment. Now Mishra's Workshop could change that, and that's actually a 4 of in this Atlantic rule, so perhaps someone will be able to make a list that powers out Juggernauts and Suchis and such early enough, really nail down something explosive, perhaps overwhelm your opponent's disenchants. Black Vice from Mark, and now a Moat. Well, Moat's going to be an issue here, but Mark so far not even committing any creatures to the board. He's got Black Vice chipping away at James's life total. Now Ankh of Mishra is going to require him to play these mana sources, so he's going to disenchant that now. But you really only have 4 disenchants, so we'll see how many more. We'll see how many more ways Mark can interact. Happy to make his land drop now that Ankh is not in play. This Moat is going to stick, so creatures without flying are not going to be able to attack here for Mark. Mana Barbs. And that's actually pretty good here. James going to need to find a way around this while also, like, he's got to play cards out of his hand to not take damage from Black Vice, but playing cards is likely going to do damage to him because of the Mana Barbs every time he taps a land. Mark's still at 20. So much of his deck blanked by this Moat, though. Goblins of the Flarg. That's most likely just to enable a Goblin Grenade. Five damage for Serra Angel. 3 of it is lands. And I believe... yeah, no, that was broadcast. Goblin Grenade taking down that Serra Angel. James, no counter spells in hand, so he just had to go for it. Hope that he didn't have the Goblin Grenade. Might have been worth trying to wait it out until he has a counter spell to go along. The more Moxes he draws, the less he'll have to tap his lands, so Time Walk doing a point of damage to him. He's at 13 now. City of Brass adding to the board. Good that he got rid of that Ankh of Mishra, but perhaps his Mana Barb is going to prove to be the bigger threat. Ankh does so much work versus control, though. Goblins of the Flarg at the ready here again, likely to die with a Goblin Grenade. And Mana Barb's just doing so much work. James almost certainly has a bunch of disenchant effects. Would not shock me at all if he has 4 total. between the sideboard and main. The question is, how much did he value Disenchant here post-board against the deck that doesn't run very much in the way of artifact accelerants, so you're really talking about Black Vice and Ankh of Mishra. A little bit of extra for the Mishra's Factories to consider. I mean, overall, I think it's a totally fine card. And Counterspell on this Black Vice, so it's doing its job either way. It did some damage. Oh, ooh. Red Elemental Blast actually making this Black Vice stick. Lightning Bolt thrown at the Goblins of the Flarg. Trying to keep cards out of his hand. Cop Red. Now this card gonna essentially let him tap 2 of any color mana. He can use the Moxes to pay to prevent the damage from the mana barbs. So, I mean, he can still at least cast Counterspell. But ultimately, this mana barb's really giving him a hard time. Lotus in hand for Mark. That could give him a bunch of extra damage. Perhaps for a spell like Earthquake. 3 more damage. Serendib. James down to 9 now. It looks like he's got 4 in hand. Serendib doing a point of damage to him. Not. There we go. 8 to 9. 3 more swings. Mark needs to stay alive. Now, he does have Red Elemental Blast. One of the cards that kind of helps Serra Angel have the claim toward being the best creature in the format. I suppose if it wasn't for that, Serendib would be far and away the best creature. 3 mana for such great stats, but Red Blast is a very played card, so for only 1 mana, you can get rid of that just a bit easier than the Serra Angel. Of course, Swords to Plowshare is one of the best cards in the format as well when you're talking about creature combat. But there are some decks that are extremely light on creatures, even creatureless strategies. So, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Red Elemental Blast, cards that can interact with any opponent, regardless of strategy, tends to be a little bit better. Serendib now. Soul Ring. That should be very helpful in emptying his hand. Does he have 5 cards, though? Down to 5. He's going to go to 4 on his turn. Tapping a land could be lethal to a Lightning Bolt. What has he got? Oh, he has 5 in hand, so he's looking at taking 3 damage during the upkeep. This is a nail biter. Mark down to 6. Now down to 2. He is likely dead next turn. What can Mark do to survive? He's going to be dead to this Serendib. Down to 1. Disintegrate being fired. Now Lightning Bolts. Oh, wow. That's not going to work, though. Let's see here. Lightning Bolt. James attempting to Swords in response. I think Mark actually ended up taking that one down. There may have been a way to stack that differently. I believe if James had stacked Mana Barb's trigger and floated the mana, and then Oh, because it's Disintegrate. Disintegrate Swords. I'm trying to piece this one through, guys. So Swords is an instant. So what he could have done is tap the mana, trigger the mana barbs, put the 1 damage on the stack, respond with Swords to Plowshares. I think Mark actually could have had that if he had just stacked things up differently. So a very entertaining match nonetheless, and just really cool to see some old school Magic. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.